What happens when humanity uncovers a weapon capable of destroying entire civilizations, and an alien race demands it at any cost? You won't believe how far one team will go to protect the galaxy, or what they're willing to sacrifice in the process. Far beyond the familiar constellations known to humanity lies Krazel, a planet shrouded in perpetual twilight. Dust storms rage across its cracked surface, carving paths into the red earth. For centuries, it remained untouched, a forgotten corner of the universe until today. A small contingent of humans landed here under the guise of scientific exploration. Led by Dr. Emily Wong, whose reputation for unraveling galactic mysteries preceded her, the group consisted of biologists, engineers, linguists, and security personnel. Each member brought expertise essential to understanding whatever lay hidden beneath Krazel's crust. Their journey began months prior aboard the Odyssey Dash, a state-of-the-art vessel equipped with cutting-edge tools. Upon arrival, however, reality struck hard. Supplies dwindled faster than expected due to unforeseen environmental challenges. Temperatures plummeted at night, freezing equipment solid. Still, morale held steady thanks to Dr. Wong's leadership. She inspired confidence with calm resolve, always reminding everyone why they were here. Discovery. Then came the breakthrough. Deep underground, sensors picked up faint traces of energy emanating from a singular point. Excavation commenced immediately. Nobody anticipated finding the Nexus, a monolithic crystal humming with latent power. Its presence sent shockwaves through the team. Some saw salvation, others saw doom. Regardless, one truth became undeniable. Their lives would never be the same again. And just like that, the stage was set. With each passing hour, tension mounted. Voices grew louder, debates fiercer. Should they study further, destroy it outright, or send word to Earth and risk exposure? Every decision carried consequences, none of which promised safety. But lurking behind closed doors waited answers, and dangers that would redefine existence itself. Curiosity may have killed the cat, but ignorance often seals humanity's fate. After days of analysis, the team finally pieced together fragments of information encoded within the Nexus. Symbols arranged in intricate patterns hinted at instructions but also warnings. One phrase repeated incessantly, "Handle with care." Despite mounting unease, progress persisted. Tests confirmed the Nexus operated on principles defying known physics. Energy flowed freely between dimensions, bending rules once thought immutable. Such knowledge thrilled some while terrifying others. Among skeptics stood Lieutenant Marcus Hale, head of security. He argued forcefully against continuing experiments, citing potential risks. "This isn't science anymore," he barked during heated discussions. "It's playing God." His concerns fell largely ignored until disaster struck. During routine calibration, a surge overloaded containment systems, releasing bursts of energy that fried nearby consoles. Panic erupted as alarms blared deafeningly. Thankfully, no casualties occurred, but damage control proved futile. Equipment rendered useless overnight left the team vulnerable. Then came the message. Static-filled transmissions crackled through communication arrays late one evening. Initially dismissed as interference, subsequent attempts revealed coherent phrases. "Do not trust them." Who exactly they referred to remained unclear. Paranoia spread quickly among crew members. Was it sabotage? Saboteurs hiding among them? Or perhaps something else entirely? Before suspicions could spiral out of control, movement caught radar operators' attention. Vast shapes descended from orbit, blocking sunlight already scarce on Krazel. Alien ships approached rapidly, exuding hostility. Their design resembled jagged teeth ready to devour prey. Panic gripped the camp. Weapons drawn, defenses raised, but doubt lingered heavy in the air. Could mere mortals stand against gods armed with celestial wrath? Stay tuned, dear viewer, because right now we're teetering on the edge of catastrophe. What happens next will change everything forever. The arrival of the Zorgan fleet was not subtle. It was a declaration of intent, loud and undeniable. Their ships descended like vultures circling prey, casting long shadows over the research camp. The air crackled with tension as the team scrambled to fortify their position. Dr. Wong's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and commanding. Everyone stay calm. We don't know their intentions yet. But deep down, she knew better. The Zorgans weren't explorers. They were conquerors, scavengers who thrived on domination. Communication attempts failed initially. The Zorgans broadcasted only silence, their ships hovering ominously above. Then came the message, a single transmission in broken but intelligible galactic standard. Surrender the artifact. Resistance is futile. The ultimatum sent shockwaves through the group. Some argued for compliance, believing survival outweighed defiance. Others, including Lieutenant Hale, insisted on standing ground. If we give them the Nexus, he growled, we might as well hand them the keys to the universe. Dr. Wong found herself torn between logic and instinct. Her scientific mind urged caution. Handing over such power could spare lives. Yet her gut screamed rebellion. What if the Zorgans used the Nexus indiscriminately? Could humanity afford that gamble? Time was running out. The alien armada began deploying smaller craft, descending toward the surface. Panic rippled through the camp as glowing energy beams illuminated the horizon. Amidst the turmoil, an unlikely alliance formed. Dr. Anika Patel, the team's linguist, proposed decoding the symbols on the Nexus further. Maybe there's a way to disable it or at least make it useless to them, she suggested. Her idea sparked hope, albeit fragile. Work resumed frantically, hands trembling as researchers pieced together fragments of ancient code. Meanwhile, Marcus coordinated defensive strategies, arming every available person despite limited resources. As night fell, Krazel's desolate landscape transformed into a battlefield primed for conflict. The question lingered heavy in the air. Would diplomacy prevail, or would blood stain the crimson sands? Either way, the outcome would alter the course of history. Trust is a luxury few can afford when survival hangs by a thread. As the Zorgan forces closed in, cracks began forming within the team. Suspicion brewed silently among members, exacerbated by fatigue and fear. Whispers of conspiracy spread like wildfire after another cryptic transmission echoed through the camp. Dash, you cannot hide from us. It started subtly. Supplies went missing, ration packs, medical kits, even critical components for equipment repairs. At first, blame shifted to environmental hazards or oversight. But when a security drone malfunctioned mid-patrol, suspicions turned inward. Someone had tampered with its systems deliberately. Accusations flew thick and fast, dividing allies. Lieutenant Hale demanded accountability, his patience wearing thin. We're sitting ducks here, he snapped during an emergency meeting. And now we've got traitors in our own ranks? Dr. Wong struggled to maintain order amidst the growing paranoia. She convened a private session with key personnel, hoping to identify the saboteur. During this tense gathering, tempers flared. Dr. Patel accused engineer Gregor Novak, citing his recent erratic behavior. Novak vehemently denied involvement, pointing fingers instead at communications officer Elena Ruiz, whose encrypted messages raised eyebrows earlier. Tensions escalated until physical altercations nearly broke out. Just as chaos threatened to consume them, clarity struck unexpectedly. A hidden camera feed revealed the truth. Ruiz hadn't betrayed them willingly. Under duress, she'd been coerced by a rogue faction within the Zorgans using psychological manipulation techniques. They promised her family's safety in exchange for information. Horrified yet sympathetic, Dr. Wong intervened before violence erupted further. This isn't about guilt, she declared firmly. It's about survival. Together, With unity restored, for now, the team refocused efforts on neutralizing the Nexus. But time was slipping away. Above them, the Zorgan fleet prepared for invasion. Every second counted, and every decision carried weight far beyond individual lives. Desperation breeds innovation or madness, depending on perspective. Armed with newfound resolve, the team dove deeper into deciphering the Nexus's secrets. Symbols etched onto its crystalline surface glowed faintly under artificial light, revealing patterns resembling ancient star charts. Dr. Patel theorized these markings represented coordinates, not locations in space, but points along timelines. What if this isn't just a weapon? She mused aloud. What if it's also a map? Her hypothesis ignited heated debates. Some dismissed it as fantasy, arguing practical solutions mattered more than abstract theories. Others saw merit in exploring alternative uses for the Nexus. If it truly harnessed temporal energy, perhaps redirecting its output could render it inert or worse, unstable enough to self-destruct. Either outcome held promise against looming threats. Meanwhile, outside tensions mounted. Zorgan scouts landed nearby, probing defenses with precision strikes aimed at weakening resistance. Casualties mounted, forcing Dr. Wong to make impossible choices. Should they prioritize protecting human lives or safeguarding cosmic balance? Each decision felt like stepping closer to an abyss. Back inside the lab, progress accelerated thanks to collaborative breakthroughs. By cross-referencing data extracted from the Nexus with historical records stored in Earth archives, researchers identified recurring motifs linked to extinct civilizations. These societies vanished abruptly, leaving behind ruins eerily similar to Krazel's terrain. Coincidence? Unlikely. More likely, victims of the Nexus's devastating capabilities. As dawn broke over the barren planet, exhaustion weighed heavily on everyone. Yet determination burned brighter still. Hope flickered faintly, fueled by knowledge gleaned from millennia-old tragedies. Perhaps understanding past mistakes could prevent future disasters. Or perhaps hubris would doom them all once again. Only time and courage would tell. Ideas clash louder than weapons when stakes involve existence itself. Within the besieged camp, ideological divides widened as pressure mounted. Dr. Wong advocated preserving the Nexus long enough to unlock its full potential, believing humanity deserved access to such profound knowledge. Lieutenant Hale countered fiercely, insisting immediate destruction offered the only viable solution. His military background shaped his worldview. Eliminate threats decisively, regardless of cost. Arguments spilled into open forums, escalating tensions dangerously close to mutiny. Tempers flared during strategy sessions, voices overlapping in cacophony. Amidst discord, Dr. Patel quietly pursued independent research, convinced answers lay hidden beneath layers of misinformation. Her persistence paid off unexpectedly when she discovered discrepancies in initial readings. Subtle anomalies hinted at secondary functions embedded within the Nexus's core programming. Functions potentially capable of reversing previous activations. News of this revelation reignited debates anew. Optimism surged briefly, tempered quickly by realism. Utilizing such mechanisms required precise timing and execution, luxuries unavailable under siege conditions. Moreover, activating experimental protocols risked catastrophic failure, potentially triggering mass extinction events. Still, hope persisted where none existed before. Outside, Zorgan forces intensified assaults, testing defenses relentlessly. Casualties mounted daily, stretching resources thinner. Morale plummeted dangerously low. Fear gripped hearts tightly, whispering surrender softly yet persistently. Yet amidst despair, resilience emerged stronger. Bonds forged through shared adversity bolstered spirits momentarily. United briefly against common enemies, humans stood defiantly despite overwhelming odds. Choices loomed large ahead, each path fraught with perilous uncertainties. Which direction would fate steer them next? Only actions dictated outcomes now. As the Zorgan forces closed in, Dr. Patel's discovery of a hidden protocol within the Nexus became their last glimmer of hope. Late into the night, she worked tirelessly alongside Engineer Novak, deciphering layers of alien algorithms embedded within the artifact's crystalline structure. The protocol appeared to be a failsafe, a mechanism designed to neutralize the Nexus's destructive capabilities if activated under specific conditions. But those conditions remained cryptic, buried beneath lines of code that seemed almost alive, shifting and rearranging as they attempted to decode it. "Every time we think we're close," Novak muttered, rubbing his bloodshot eyes, "it changes again." His frustration was palpable, but so was his determination. They couldn't afford failure now. Outside, the sounds of distant explosions grew louder, punctuated by the hum of energy weapons tearing through the thin atmosphere of Krazel. Marcus paced nearby, rifle slung over his shoulder, ready to defend the lab at any moment. Dr. Wong joined them briefly, her face etched with exhaustion. "How much longer?" she asked, her voice tinged with urgency. Patel hesitated before answering. "Minutes? Hours? I can't say for sure. But if we don't figure this out soon..." Her words trailed off, unfinished yet understood by everyone present. Failure wasn't an option. It meant annihilation not just for the team, but potentially for entire civilizations across the galaxy. Then came the breakthrough. A sequence emerged from the chaos, a series of harmonic frequencies that resonated with the Nexus's core. When tested cautiously, the artifact responded not with destruction but with what seemed like containment. Energy levels stabilized momentarily, and the oppressive hum that had filled the room since its discovery faded slightly. For the first time, hope felt tangible. But activating the protocol required precise calibration, a process that would leave them vulnerable. And as fate would have it, the Zorgans chose that exact moment to launch their full-scale assault. The ground trembled as Zorgan dropships descended en masse, disgorging waves of armored soldiers armed with weapons far beyond human technology. Plasma bolts tore through makeshift barricades, forcing the team to retreat deeper into the facility. Marcus barked orders, rallying the remaining defenders while trying desperately to hold back the tide. "Fall back to the inner perimeter," he shouted, firing bursts from his pulse rifle. Inside the lab, panic surged anew. Activating the protocol demanded focus, but the deafening roar of battle outside made concentration nearly impossible. Dr. Wong took charge, organizing volunteers to create diversions and buy precious time. "We need 5 minutes," she told Marcus, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Can you give us that?" He nodded grimly, knowing the odds were stacked heavily against them. Outnumbered and outgunned, the humans fought valiantly. Improvised traps slowed the invaders temporarily, detonating in flashes of light and heat. Yet the Zorgans pressed forward relentlessly, their superior numbers overwhelming even the most strategic defenses. Casualties mounted on both sides, though humanity bore the brunt of the losses. Back in the lab, Dr. Patel completed the final adjustments to the activation sequence. With trembling hands, she keyed in the commands, praying the translation was accurate. As the system initialized, the Nexus emitted a low, resonant tone that reverberated through the facility. For a fleeting moment, everything seemed to pause, the fighting, the fear, the inevitability of defeat. Then reality snapped back into focus. The Zorgans breached the outer walls, storming toward the lab. Time had run out. Desperation drove decisions no one wanted to make. As Zorgan forces poured into the facility, Dr. Wong realized there was only one way to ensure the Nexus wouldn't fall into enemy hands. She turned to her team, her expression resolute. "Activate the self-destruct sequence," she ordered, her voice unwavering. Gasps erupted around the room, followed by protests. "We've come too far to give up now," Novak exclaimed, his face pale with shock. "There's no other choice," Wong replied firmly. "If they take the Nexus, billions will die. This ends here." Marcus stepped forward, his jaw clenched. "I'll stay behind to cover your escape," he said, gripping his weapon tightly. "Get everyone out of here."
No, Wong countered.
"You're needed to lead the survivors." "I'll stay." The argument lasted mere seconds before Wong silenced it with a single glance. Her decision was final. While the others prepared to evacuate, she initiated the countdown, buying them enough time to reach the extraction point. Meanwhile, Marcus led a desperate rearguard action, holding off the advancing Zorgans long enough for the civilians to flee. Outside, the evacuation shuttle roared to life, engines straining against the planet's gravity. Through the cockpit window, Dr. Patel watched as the facility disappeared behind clouds of dust and smoke. Tears streamed down her face, but there was no time for grief. Survival depended on distance and speed. Seconds later, a blinding flash illuminated the horizon. The Nexus and everything around it was consumed in a cataclysmic explosion that shook the very fabric of spacetime. Silence fell over the survivors aboard the shuttle, broken only by the soft hum of engines carrying them away from Crazel. The weight of what they'd lost pressed heavily on each of them. Dr. Wong's sacrifice haunted their thoughts, her final act of bravery etched permanently into their memories. But amidst sorrow came clarity. The Nexus was gone, its secrets buried beneath the ashes of destruction. Humanity had been spared, for now, from wielding powers it couldn't comprehend. Yet questions lingered. Who had created the Nexus? Why had it been left on Crazel? And most importantly, how many more artifacts like it existed in the universe? For Dr. Patel and the others, the mission wasn't over. It had merely transformed. Returning to Earth meant facing scrutiny, analysis, and perhaps judgment for their actions. But it also meant sharing what they'd learned, ensuring that future generations approached such discoveries with caution rather than greed. As the shuttle entered orbit, the crew gazed out at the stars, their resolve hardened. They had stared into the abyss and survived. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. The shuttle ride back to the Odyssey was eerily quiet, save for the mechanical hum of its engines slicing through the void of space. Each survivor sat lost in their own thoughts, replaying the events on Crazel like a haunting melody they couldn't silence. Dr. Patel stared blankly at her hands, still trembling from exhaustion and adrenaline. She had helped unlock the secrets of the Nexus, but now she wondered if that knowledge came at too high a cost. Was it worth it? Could humanity ever truly be trusted with such power? Lieutenant Marcus Hale stood near the cockpit, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. His face bore the scars of battle, both physical and emotional. He had failed to protect Dr. Wong, and the guilt gnawed at him relentlessly. "I should have stayed," he muttered under his breath, though no one heard him. Or maybe they chose not to. Everyone carried burdens heavier than words could express. Back aboard the Odyssey Dash, the mood shifted slightly. Safety brought a semblance of relief, but it also forced them to confront what they'd done, or rather, what they hadn't been able to prevent. Captain Elias Rourke, commander of the vessel, greeted them solemnly. "You did what you had to do," he said, addressing the weary group. "But this isn't over. Not by a long shot." He was right. Reports were already flooding in from Earth Command, demanding answers about the Nexus and the Zorgan fleet. Speculation ran rampant across interstellar networks, fueling fears of an impending galactic war. For the survivors, there was no rest. Not until they unraveled the full implications of their discovery. As the Odyssey charted a course back to Earth, Dr. Patel immersed herself in research, desperate to piece together the fragments of history surrounding the Nexus. Using data salvaged before the artifact's destruction, she uncovered references to similar objects scattered throughout the galaxy. Ancient civilizations had called them God's tools, artifacts of unimaginable power left behind by beings whose motives remained shrouded in mystery. One name appeared repeatedly: the Valith, a race spoken of only in myths, said to have ascended beyond mortal constraints. Some believed the Valith created these tools as gifts. Others claimed they were weapons meant to cleanse the universe of imperfection. Whatever the truth, one thing became clear: the Nexus wasn't unique. If other artifacts existed, the Zorgans would stop at nothing to find them. Dr. Patel shared her findings during a tense briefing with the crew. If we don't understand the origins of these artifacts, she warned, we risk repeating the mistakes of those who came before us. Her words hung heavy in the air, a grim reminder of the stakes involved. Yet despite the gravity of her revelation, hope flickered faintly among the survivors. Knowledge was their greatest weapon, and perhaps their only defense against the unknown. Not everyone welcomed Dr. Patel's discoveries with open arms. Tensions flared once again as differing opinions clashed aboard the Odyssey Dash. Lieutenant Hale argued vehemently for secrecy, insisting Earth Command couldn't be trusted with such volatile information. They'll weaponize this, he snapped during a heated debate, just like the Zorgans tried to do. Others, including Captain Rourke, believed transparency was essential. We can't fight this alone, he countered. Humanity needs to prepare for whatever comes next. Caught between these opposing forces, Dr. Patel struggled to maintain neutrality. Her primary goal was preservation, not just of life, but of truth. Yet even she questioned whether humanity deserved access to such knowledge. History was riddled with examples of good intentions gone awry. Would uncovering the secrets of the Valith lead to enlightenment or extinction? Amidst the discord, strange occurrences began plaguing the ship. Equipment malfunctioned without explanation. Crew members reported vivid nightmares filled with alien voices whispering cryptic warnings. It seemed the Nexus's influence lingered, its legacy refusing to fade quietly into oblivion. Just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, a distress signal interrupted the Odyssey's journey. Originating from a nearby star system, the transmission was garbled but unmistakable. Dash, help us, they're coming. Before anyone could respond, scanners picked up movement, a massive fleet emerging from hyperspace. At first glance, it appeared to belong to the Zorgans, but something felt off. Upon closer inspection, the ships bore markings unlike anything recorded in Earth's databases. Sleek and organic in design, they exuded an aura of elegance and menace. This wasn't the brute force of the Zorgans, it was something far more calculated. Whoever or whatever they were, they wanted something, and they were closing fast. Panic gripped the crew as the unidentified fleet surrounded the Odyssey Dash. Attempts to communicate yielded no response. Instead, a single message broadcasted directly into their minds. Dash, return what is ours. The voice was cold, devoid of emotion, yet laced with authority. Dr. Patel immediately connected the dots. There after the Nexus, she whispered, her voice trembling. Or what remains of it? With limited options, Captain Rourke ordered evasive maneuvers while preparing for combat. But deep down, he knew they were outmatched. Their survival depended on unraveling the mystery of these new arrivals, and fast. In the final hours before confrontation, alliances formed and fractured aboard the Odyssey Dash. Dr. Patel worked tirelessly to decode the enigmatic message, hoping to find a loophole or weakness in their adversaries' demands. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Hale coordinated defensive strategies, rallying the crew despite dwindling morale. When the moment of truth arrived, the Odyssey found itself caught between two overwhelming forces: the mysterious fleet and remnants of the Zorgan Armada, drawn by residual energy signatures from the Nexus. Both sides sought control, leaving humanity trapped in the crossfire. Ultimately, it was Dr. Patel who proposed a daring gambit. Using fragments of data recovered from the Nexus, she devised a plan to create a decoy signal, tricking both factions into believing the artifact still existed elsewhere. It was risky, potentially suicidal, but it offered a slim chance of escape. As the plan unfolded, sacrifices were made. Lives were lost. But in the end, the Odyssey slipped away, vanishing into the vastness of space. Behind them, the rival fleets clashed, consumed by their insatiable hunger for power. For the survivors, the road ahead remained uncertain. They had escaped immediate danger, but the questions lingered. Who were the Valith? What other artifacts awaited discovery? And most importantly, could humanity rise to meet the challenges of the cosmos, or would it succumb to its own hubris? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain: their journey was far from over. Every choice shapes the future, and every story leaves its mark. If you enjoyed this epic tale of survival, sacrifice, and the endless mysteries of the universe, hit that subscribe button. Together, let's keep exploring the stars, one unforgettable adventure at a time.